Dwayne Laughlin here for the Gospel Magic channel. This is something new. Most everything on this channel is a trick with a gospel lesson. This particular video does not involve a trick. It is rather a lesson relating to the work and ministry of the gospel magician. It is something you might say fitting the realm of theory and concept rather than performance. I hope you find it helpful. I'll be interested in what feedback I get back from this kind of presentation, and if it turns out this is helpful, I'll try to do more of this in the future. I recently received an email where someone asked me this question. He said, "What can I do with the gospel magic I have learned? I am not a young person, and I doubt I will ever have my own theater or stage show. I really want to use my magic to tell people about the Lord, but where do I do this?" In other words, as a gospel magician, he was learning tricks and routines, but he didn't seem to be finding people that he might show the tricks and routines to. I believe the answer to his question starts with a scripture found in the New Testament in the book of Luke. In Luke chapter 16, verse 10, we are told, "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust in the least is also unjust also in much." The key idea in that verse is where it says that if we are faithful in the least, or the little things, then we can have opportunity for the bigger things. If you're faithful in little, you can be trusted with much. I believe that what we need to do to give ourselves more opportunity to perform is think small instead of big. Instead of looking for a place to do a big stage show or some theatrical presentation, someday that can come, and I'm sure you might be excited about doing that sort of thing. But instead of trying to start with that or get that lined up right away, look for little situations where you can just do a little bit. But by doing a little bit, people become aware of your talents and your abilities. They become aware of the fact that you exist, and it can grow. In other words, look for something such as, maybe your church has a men's prayer breakfast, and you can offer to do a short devotional for that prayer breakfast, illustrated with a magic trick. Just keep it down to maybe 3 to 5 minutes. But this could be a place for you to start, and a place to start creating that awareness that you are a gospel magician and you have something to share. How about this? If your church has a junior church or Sunday school classes for children, or maybe your church has a children's sermon time, why don't you volunteer to do a trick as something for that occasion? Again, just a couple minutes long. In my own church, I do many children's sermons. Almost every Sunday, I get up and do one little thing with a magic trick that's designed to minister to the kids. Frankly, the adults like it as well as do the kids. But just doing this one little thing creates the awareness that I am who I am, I do what I do, and it can open more doors for me. How about looking for local groups of student ministries, such as the Fellowship of Christian Athletes? If there is a group called the Fellowship of Christian Athletes that meets in your area, in their meetings they have devotional times. They very often are looking for a speaker who can come in and share something interesting, something designed to keep the attention of the kids, and a magic trick would be perfect for that. Consider visiting a local nursing home and find out if they have Sunday meetings or meetings any time of the week where you could come in and do a couple of visual illustrations. If your church has a testimony time, and I know nowadays not so many churches do, but maybe instead of what you'd call big church, there's a Sunday school class or a fellowship group you're involved with, or they have testimony time. Well, next time there's a testimony time, use a little magic trick to share your testimony. Check out local ministries to people in need. Maybe there's a food pantry, there's a shelter of some sort in your area, and see if it would work for you to get involved with that and just stand up in some place sometime, maybe where they're feeding people, and just do a short little testimony with your magic. Contact Christian schools and homeschool situations or homeschool associations. See if they have chapel sessions or if they have meetings where there's devotionals that are done. And maybe you can present a short lesson and testimony in a circumstance like that. And don't forget about senior groups. Often we think about kids, but there are senior groups looking for fun things. In the church I attend, we have a singles group that meets every week in the church, but they're all senior citizens who've been widowed or some other situation has come along, so they've always been single. But these people are looking for things that are interesting to bring into their group. And that would be a perfect place to come in with your gospel magic and do something short in a devotional sense for them. So the idea is you're looking for little ways to present your magic and message, and through this, doors can open to bigger things. This also is a way you develop the experience that prepares you for bigger things. I think one of the reasons God often doesn't allow us to get into the big theaters and big stage shows at the start is we're not really ready to handle those things. We've got to grow into the larger program, and you grow into it by doing these little things. When I first got started in magic, or gospel magic, I got started by doing a children's sermon in our church. Just a 2-minute presentation. It went over well, so before long I was doing children's sermons almost every week. Then someone said, well, on Wednesday night we have this kids ministry. Would you mind coming by and doing a little thing for them? And I just did a little 5-minute lesson. Well, another group, another church learned, well, Dwayne did this for their kids. They liked it. Could he come over and do this for our kids? I wasn't getting paid for any of this stuff, and most of it was 10 minutes or less. But I was excited about magic. I was thrilled to do anything that I could. And through this, I started learning better how to minister through my magic, and people became more and more aware of who I was. And then pretty soon somebody said, well, we're going to do this ministry to kids in a camp. Could you do a 30-minute program? And before long, this of course turned into a career for me. Now I have a very important bit of advice for you, and that is, as you consider this matter of doing little things, keep your word and keep it short. If you say 3 minutes, do 2 minutes and 50 seconds. If you say 5 minutes, do 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Never go over the allotted time, no matter how much you think they're enjoying it. And please do not give in to the temptation to sneak your big show in on them. I've known people to abuse the trust of groups that gave them a chance. These gospel magicians thought, well, I know if they see my show, they'll love it. They just got to see my show. So even though I told them 5 minutes, I'm bringing in my doves to rabbit, my square circle, and my mirror box, and all this other stuff, and they end up doing 15 or 20 minutes or more instead of their 5, and they're sure this is really going to impress everybody and open doors. It doesn't. It closes doors. People say, well, we can't trust this person to do what he or she said. And it messes up the meeting. People are frustrated because the day's off schedule and things they planned to do couldn't be done. And some get frustrated because the magician turned the meeting into something all about him when he was just supposed to be part of the fun, and the real meeting was about something else. Basically, people who potentially will book you for shows in the context of ministry need to know they don't have to do damage control after you leave. And if you do not keep the time, if you cannot be trusted with the time, then they're going to think, well, I do have to do damage control. I have to explain why the meeting went long. I have to explain why all the emphasis was on those magic tricks when it was supposed to be something else. And when that happens, they don't want to invite you back again, and they don't recommend you to others. On the other hand, when you come in, you do what you promise, you stay within the time frame, you add to their program, you enhance their program, they feel like the program was better because you were there, that's the thing that opens the door and creates more opportunity for you. Now, in wrapping this up, I'll comment that my wife and I recently have made a change, and that is we have shifted all of the focus of our work to the area of Branson, Missouri. We've been working nationwide and worldwide for years. We've had a theater in South Dakota for the last 6 years, and a lot of work in South Dakota because we were well known, well established there through the theater. Now there's a sense in which we're starting over. I don't want to travel around the world anymore. I don't even want to travel out of Branson if I can help it. But to work in this new community, I have to get known in this community. They must become aware of what I do. So what am I doing? Exactly what I talked about in this presentation. I'm doing the children's sermons for my church. I'm volunteering for a local children's ministry. I'm going to help out with this ministry to some people at the food pantry. I'm just going here and there, doing little things wherever I can, not worried about getting paid for it, because I know through the process people will become aware of my work, aware of what I'm about, and in time I expect to be very, very busy right here in Branson and not have to travel as far as we used to. All right, enough said on the subject. As I told you at the start, this is sort of a new thing. Normally what I do is I take these articles that I write out and I publish them in our email blasts for people to read. But I have become concerned that people maybe aren't always reading them. We sort of let these emails pile up and we get behind and we never actually read the material. So I thought I would find out if maybe it's easier for you to watch and listen to the presentation than it is to read it. And if so, I'll be doing a lot more of this kind of presentation in the future. But of course, I'll keep on sharing tricks and routines as well. That's it. I'm Dwayne Laughlin. This is the Gospel Magic Channel. Thanks for tuning in.